first one up, we got to talk about Hard Knocks, folks. It just premiered on HBO Max last night, 10 o'clock Eastern, and it was great. It was magnificent. It was great to have Hard Knocks back. It's such a great insight. It's such a great look at football and everything and how much work goes into it and how many moving pieces actively every single day go into really, make a team and make a team competitive and able to win and able to compete and all that. So that just started up last night. As you all know, it's on the Cowboys this season, and it was fantastic. It was great. The first thing I got to talk about is the voice of Hard Knocks. It's just so spectacular, folks. I mean, it's the same guy that's been always doing it, but man, oh man, that voice, that narrative voice, geez, I want that on everything. I want movie trailers to use this man's voice. I want, voiceover and cartoons. Just every character should be played by this man's voice. It's just so great. So hearing his voice again, truly just getting my blood pumping on what this season is truly going to be like. And that was just obviously the great start to Hard Knocks. All right, now let's get into, the details of what actually happened. So the first thing to talk about is that Dak Prescott ended up having 2 surgeries on his kind of ankle to repair it, which I applaud the Cowboys for not letting that leak. I had no idea he had 2 surgeries, but he ended up having 2 surgeries. Dak Prescott said that. He's like, y'all didn't know that, did you? So I give the Cowboys credit, the organization, for keeping that under wraps the entire offseason when Dax was like the biggest story maybe in football. I would probably say top 5 at least, top 5 story of kind of the off season and kind of, the early practices and all that. I'd probably say that Dak Prescott injury was kind of top 5 stories. So, great job by not letting that leak and keeping it, everything in-house and secretive. So we give him credit for that. So that was kind of the first big surprise, and that was right out of the gate. Dak Prescott talking about his injury. You see the scars and all that, and he's not ashamed of his scars. I think he called them his battle scars or something like that. So Dak Prescott had 2 surgeries on that ankle. Alrighty, now let's talk about Mike McCarthy, because we did get a lot of insight on Mike McCarthy, and I'm just going to preface this. This is what I saw. This is kind of my interpretation. Folks, I can only tell y'all what I saw the camera get, okay? So when we kind of critique and, talk about Mike McCarthy here, this is just what I'm seeing of what the cameras captured and all of that. So don't shoot me, but I think we did get some nice nuggets. You have to look into these things, folks. I mean, the camera shows you. The camera of Hard Knocks, those cameras captured moments of Mike McCarthy, and we are going to kind of tell you what our takeaway of those shots were and everything about that. So if you're a big Mike McCarthy fan and you're going to get angry at me, please try not to, because nothing like that big of a dig here on Mike McCarthy. But, I'm just telling you what I saw the camera capture and my takeaway from it. So here we go. All right, so Mike McCarthy, he stopped Dak Prescott from throwing after day 1. So we saw Dak Prescott here in Hard Knocks the first day of training camp, and he was looking real solid, folks. He was mobile. He was throwing on the run. He was accurate. It's not like he was limping or anything like that. It truly looked like Dak Prescott was a full 100% healthy just on how he was moving and throwing the ball on the run day 1 of practice. But Mike McCarthy shut that down day 2. Interesting. We kind of heard Mike McCarthy say, why is Dak practicing? Like there's no reason. So Mike McCarthy doesn't want Dak Prescott out there practicing in training camp, because I don't know whether he just feels like Dak Prescott, there's no reason to, because he already knows everything and there's no reason to risk an injury or anything like that. But Mike McCarthy's first initial thing was, hey, I don't really want Dak practicing. And we got that in day number 2. Dak Prescott didn't like that he was getting shut down. He's like, why am I not out there? I sat the entire offseason because I was rehabbing, so I want to get the fuck out there. I've sat enough. So Dak Prescott wanted to be out there, and Mike McCarthy shut that down. Once again, we have to look at Mike McCarthy's overall resume in the NFL, folks. Only 1 Super Bowl appearance with the greatest thrower of the football than Aaron Rodgers, folks? I mean, that's a little underwhelming, slight underwhelming. I mean, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady got to 9, won 6, folks. I mean, you couldn't get to more than 1 Super Bowl. So just overall, Mike McCarthy a little underwhelming in his overall coaching resume, given that he was with Aaron Rodgers his entire career. So we can potentially understand a little bit of a strained relationship between the head coach and the quarterback. If we take this back to, Aaron Rodgers, back in Green Bay, was he trying to shut down Aaron Rodgers from getting better? All of that. Aaron Rodgers may have had kind of the same, why are you sitting me? I'm good to go. So maybe Mike McCarthy doesn't have the best relationships with his quarterbacks, the entire time. And we're going to get back to that as well. We've got another clip to talk about that. All right, so that's he also wanted to kind of slow Zeke down a little bit because he was once again day 1 of practice. He saw Zeke and Zeke was looking real good. He thinned down. He was looking great. He was looking explosive. And Mike McCarthy once again was like, why is Zeke out there? Let's slow him down. He's looking great. He doesn't kind of need to be out there anymore. So it kind of seems like Mike McCarthy truly doesn't want his star players practicing in training camp. Now, that's, a train of thought when you're a head coach. You don't want any unnecessary injuries. You want your guys fresh for the start of the season. So it is, a decent kind of, 50-50. Should we sit the starters? Should we not play them so much? Or should we kind of go 100% guns blazing? So it seems like Mike McCarthy kind of does not want his starting face of the franchise players truly practicing and getting all the reps. It's like, all right, here's 1, maybe 2 reps. You've got it down. You've been here before. I mean, Dak and Zeke have been in the Cowboys organization for 6 seasons. They understand it. So don't kind of, risk potential injuries with them practicing in training camp. So that seemed like Mike McCarthy's general attitude in the beginning. And we're going to see a tone shift here as well. And we got some information on that. But let's keep going here. We got, what else is in our notes here? Dax shoulder injury. They kind of went through that. So it's not with the ankle anymore. That's, what he suffered last year. But he suffered kind of a little bit of a shoulder injury. And we talked about that, on the show. So it's not a bicep injury. It's not a tricep injury. When Mike McCarthy was talking to the doctor was like, yeah, it's kind of like a lat muscle injury. And I didn't know what the hell that was about. And Dak Prescott was like, yeah, he can't follow through with full force when throwing the ball. And Dak Prescott said he truly felt it as soon as he was letting go of the football. So at that full extension, he was kind of feeling a little bit of a pull there in his shoulder. So let's see what a lat muscle kind of injury is like. I had to Google because I didn't know folks, I don't know muscles and all that. I'm sorry. So I heard the doctor say lat muscle. So I Google lat muscle and we get this. The latissimus dorsi muscle, known as the lats, are the large V-shaped muscles that connect your arms to your vertebral column. They help you protect and stabilize your spine while providing shoulder and back strength. Your lats also help with shoulder and arm movement and support good posture. So then we go to this. Kind of a lat muscle injury recovery. What are we talking about here? And this is just what Google brings up. And once again, this is from MLB.com. Once again, we heard the doctor say it's more of an injury in common with baseball injuries, and that's why the Cowboys contacted the Houston Astros baseball team to kind of get a little bit of a second opinion on Dax's shoulder. And this is what the recovery table is looking like here. So here we go. Recovery time varies depending on the strain, with grade 1 strains typically requiring 2 to 3 weeks, and grade 2 strains usually taking at least a month. Grade 3 strains often require surgery, however, and can come with considerably longer recovery period. So we don't have, whether that's a grade 1, 2, or 3. It's seeming like it's maybe a grade 1, but we're talking about 2 to 3 weeks which still puts them, right in time for week 1. So nothing truly big there, but just, not being in practice and not being able to kind of be a full go in there is definitely going to, hurt his process a little bit, but maybe not to Mike McCarthy. Maybe Mike McCarthy was like, oh, thank kind of goodness he's not really out there because I don't really want him out there anyway. But, he did get injured. So Mike McCarthy, a little bit right out there. Why is he out there? Maybe he really shouldn't be for all those reps. So, was Mike McCarthy a little bit right? He got injured, so in this circumstance, this instance, yeah, a little bit. So that's kind of Dak's new injury. It's no longer with the ankle. He was looking good. We saw him running out there, folks. You see Dak Prescott running, throwing on the run, accurate as heck, looking real solid. He's no limping, no gimping, no facial expressions of pain or anything like that. So that ankle, I believe, is truly 100% good now. Now we're talking about this lat muscle injury. All right, what else do we get here? All right, here we go. So once that kind of shoulder injury initially happened, Mike McCarthy wanted Dak Prescott to get off the field because Dak Prescott was still on the field just observing practice and just kind of, learning the information, which you want your players to do, even your starters. You can still learn from watching, not participating, seeing the plays, being ran in action, and all of that. So being on the field is still, you learning, and even though you're not taking those reps, you're still learning something and you're actually maybe getting a little bit of a better perspective from the sideline because you're seeing what the defense is doing and how they're playing that route, so you get a better understanding as the quarterback on where to go with the ball. If, the corner comes down, the corner stays on the man, the safeties come down, the linebackers rush, the linebackers drop back. So you may even learn a little bit more by just watching and observing from the sideline, seeing the entire offense and the entire defense and how it all looks. So there is, a little bit of a benefit of just being on the field. But Mike McCarthy wanted Dak Prescott to go get treatment kind of immediately. He was kind of like, hey, why are you still on the field? Why don't you go get treated for that injury? Let's kind of get you, up, let's get you full go. So, please get off the field. And then, so we get that. The doctor, it kind of seemed like Mike McCarthy was like a little frustrated with the doctor and Dak. Like, seriously, like, why the hell are you still on this field? Like, go get the treatment. And then after Dak Prescott's walking off the field, it's Mike McCarthy and Ben McAdoo. And folks, this is all this is all that the camera captures. They're standing right next to each other. And Mike McCarthy kind of looks up, watching Dak Prescott walk off the field, and he goes, psh, fuck. Like, what the hell are they even doing? Like, psh, fuck, man. Like, what am I even, like, what is their thought process of staying on the field and not seeking treatment? Like, are they just expecting it to, like, magically heal? So we're talking about Ben McAdoo and Mike McCarthy kind of going, psh, fuck, like laughing and being like, seriously, like what the hell were they thinking? Like it's so out of the realm of Dak Prescott still being like in practice and not immediately seeking treatment. So once again, we have to take, the people that are doing this. It's Mike McCarthy, underwhelming with Aaron Rodgers, Ben McAdoo, who was the freaking fall guy for getting Eli Manning out of the Giants organization. Because remember, Ben McAdoo sat Eli Manning, even though that Eli Manning was the starter, and broke Eli Manning's consecutive start streak, and then he ended up getting fired the next that season. He was the fall guy. So these two coaches right here thinking, hey, I kind of know more, and it's kind of, why aren't people kind of thinking like me? Psh, fuck. Y'all will see. Hopefully y'all will see it when you watch it, if you have watched it, if you guys know what I'm trying to kind of, verbalize here. I just thought it was real weird how they were kind of acting in that moment. I think I would have rather had Dak be out there. There's still time. It's not like, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-lasting injury, so I still think Dak, could have learned a lot from just being out there with the team. Once again, Mike McCarthy, a little bit of a different thinking. Hey, why don't you just go get treated? You don't need to be out there. You don't need to be out there. And that's something that we've been seeing the entire kind of first half hour of Mike McCarthy. Hey, Dak, you really don't need to be out there. Now we can maybe understand why Aaron Rodgers was a little frustrated with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay just a little bit. All right, what else do we get here? All right, so now we get Jerry Jones. He's in his office, and then he ends up hearing about the injury. Now, what's interesting here is that Jerry Jones asked the doctor, he was like, all right, so he can't throw long and he can't throw medium, but can he still throw short? Kind of implying, hey, I want Dak Prescott out on the field. I want this man playing. I want this man practicing. I just invested all this money in him. He's our face of the franchise guy. He needs to be out there working and getting better. So we got Jerry Jones kind of, asking the doctor, hey, he can't throw long. He can't throw medium. Can he throw short? Can he be out there throwing short? And the doctor was like, yeah, we really don't want any kind of throwing motion at all. So Jerry Jones was like, okay, so we got Mike McCarthy doesn't even want Dak Prescott out on the field when he was fully healthy, folks. This was before, we talked about it earlier, folks, in the beginning. Mike McCarthy didn't want Dak Prescott out on the field when he was fully healthy. We got Jerry Jones really wanting Dak Prescott out there even if he's not 100% healthy. So, once again, two different kind of coaching styles, and we all know kind of, the saying that Jerry Jones runs the team. He brings in head coaches that, will take his direction and listen to him and will follow all of his orders, and we're going to get kind of the turnaround here because now we get this. So Jerry Jones wanted kind of, if you kind of read into it, I read into it a little bit, asking that question, can he at least throw short? Kind of seems like Jerry Jones wants Dak Prescott out there. Mike McCarthy doesn't. And then Jerry Jones comes down to the practice field and, he goes kind of to Mike McCarthy and is like, hey, what are you doing to kind of get him up to speed? What is he doing when he's injured? And Mike McCarthy's like, yeah, he's just kind of going through the motions out there. He's doing everything besides throwing. And it kind of seemed like Mike McCarthy's attitude changed about having Dak Prescott out on the field, even though he can't be a full go, because Jerry Jones wanted that. So it kind of is seeming like Jerry Jones is once again in complete control of this football team, and Mike McCarthy is just doing what Jerry Jones wants. So that's kind of, the takeaway I got from that thing. That whole Dak Prescott not being on the field, being injured, wanting to be on the field, not wanting to be on the field. That was kind of my takeaway, is that Mike McCarthy was kind of taking orders from Jerry Jones. All right, so Dak Prescott, he was doing everything besides kind of throwing the ball. He was, taking the reps. He was kind of, going through the motions, just doing everything besides throwing the ball, resting that shoulder. All right, then we get Mike McCarthy's coaching style. He does a Mojo Moment. He kind of, takes a clip about from Austin Powers about how, just Mojo and just kind of, Mojo is like an integral part of football. And it truly is, folks. You will feel it in game scenarios. You will be like, all right, I can feel this kind of being a true turnaround moment, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, first down, third down, fourth down, on the goal line, from the 5 at midfield, just picking up the first down, stopping, a first down play, anything like that. Players will feel that out on the field out there. And so I've got no problem with Mike McCarthy using the Austin Powers clip, livening up kind of the locker room a little bit. Not everything has to be serious all the time, 100%. So the Mojo Moment, I had no problem with. And then they try and go out and execute a Mojo Moment. They kind of do it randomly in practice. They do just kind of a random scenario. I think it was like a minute 30 left, no timeouts left, and the offense had to go and drive the ball down by 8 points, get the touchdown, then go for the 2-point conversion. So I've got no problem with that. The knock that I do have on Mike McCarthy's Mojo kind of moment coaching style is that he made it a little bit too much of a game, a little bit too much. Like this is here, like this is Mojo moments that does happen in the games, and you kind of have to get the players used to truly locking in during those moments. But everyone was kind of clowning around, being like, "Hey, it's a Mojo moment," laughing it up, and that's fine. But you do have to kind of set that kind of, hey, this is serious now. We have to put it all out there and truly just all buy in. And I think that's kind of where I had a little bit of a problem with McCarthy's kind of Mojo Moment. He didn't know when to kind of truly bring it in and be 100% serious and 100% truly driven just on that. They ended up capitalizing. They scored the touchdown, missed a 2-point conversion, and that touchdown was the CeeDee Lamb play that we watched a couple weeks ago or last week on the show, where he kind of goes one-handed, corner of the end zone, gets 2 feet in bounds, looking absolutely great. So CeeDee Lamb, once again, we can buy into this man 100% in that mojo moment. I think it was like 4th down when they needed the touchdown. He ended up in making that big play. That's what the mojo moment is, folks. Players stepping up to the occasion and locking in, getting the job done, whatever the scenario is in that game time scenario. So fantastic by CeeDee Lamb. That man's always going to be great, folks. I'm telling y'all, the man's going to have an absolute amazing season. I still stick by my take that CeeDee Lamb will become the number 1 wide receiver in this league this season. Fantastic out there. And then the last takeaway that we have, is this the last one? This is the last one, folks. All right, here we go. There was a little bit of an awkward moment right here, and I'm going to bring it up. It's very, very quick here. This was after the mojo moment. This is at 34 minutes into the episode, folks. We get an awkward exchange between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Once again, Mike McCarthy has never had that great relationship between him and the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers kind of called him out. The entire Packers Aaron Rodgers mostly was calling out kind of Mike McCarthy after he left and all that. We've heard some stories about, Mike McCarthy being in his office, getting massages when practice was going on. So Mike McCarthy doesn't have the best relationship with his quarterbacks, and that's still true here in Dallas with Dak Prescott. It seems like the camera caught this moment. So, Mike McCarthy goes up to Dak Prescott and is kind of like, hey, Dak, damn, where were you? You missed the mojo moment. Kind of being a little smurfy, but Dak Prescott doesn't kind of play into that smurfiness. Dak Prescott, stone cold, is like, hey man, I don't gotta tell you, I want to be out there as bad, just as bad as y'all want me out there. I want to be out there. So Mike McCarthy kind of is like, yeah, I was just busting your balls, man, all that. But it's just an awkward exchange. Look at Dak Prescott's face. It's straight up stoic. He's showing no emotion. Usually when somebody's smurfy, like, hey man, what are you doing out here? You missed the mojo moment. And then you turn around, like, he smiles like, ha, yeah, I still want to be out there. Still want to be out there though, coach. all that. Being smiling, laughing it off a little bit, being a little bit smurfy back. But that's not what Dak Prescott does right here. It's 100% serious. It's 100% business. Where Mike McCarthy was just trying to be a little smurfy. So that quarterback head coach relationship doesn't seem to be that great between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, and that just kind of once again tells us that Mike McCarthy may not be the best coach out here, and we're kind of seeing the same things that we've been hearing about between him and Aaron Rodgers now kind of starting to brew here between Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. So it was just a real awkward moment. Dak Prescott really didn't say anything, and then after, it's about 2 seconds of awkward silence, and then the camera kind of pans out to something else. So, Dak Prescott not playing into that. Maybe kind of doesn't feel the playfulness between Mike McCarthy. Maybe he doesn't kind of exhibit that the entire time, and that's why they just don't have that great relationship. So, can Mike McCarthy coach? Comes back, full circle of what we're trying to kind of see here with this Cowboys team. It's our training camp narrative here for this Cowboys team. Mike McCarthy, can he coach? Dan Quinn. We didn't see a lot of Dan Quinn. There was like 2 things of Dan Quinn. One was in the preseason game where Micah Parsons was playing real good, and then Dan Quinn calls down and says, "Hey, good job, but your time is done. You played a couple of series, but it's the first preseason game. Good look out there, but you won't be playing for the rest of it." And Micah Parsons kept wanting to get in, and Dan Quinn was just basically like, "No, you're not getting back in. There's no need to. You're doing good over there." So Dan Quinn, we didn't see a lot of him, but these couple of things of Mike McCarthy truly not looking like he's the main man in charge, that once again is still coming down from Jerry Jones, and I don't like the relationship that we were seeing between Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. So that's what we saw from episode 1 of Hard Knocks, folks. We'll see if anything changes during kind of episode 2, and if we get more of what we're seeing in episode 1 in episode 2, but we'll come back when episode 2 airs and kind of give our thoughts and breakdown of that. So that's what we saw. Mike McCarthy. I don't know if anybody's really kind of buying into it. I don't know if anybody's really truly buying into what Mike McCarthy has to say. He also had like a little bit of a breakdown speech as well in a kind of a classroom setting. And nobody was really buying into that, but I mean, nobody really buys into those anyway. I mean, I've seen multiple Hard Knocks, and everyone just kind of has kind of the same kind of look on their face. They're all kind of just looking around, and nobody's kind of, smiling and truly buying into it and nodding their head or anything like that. So I'm not going to penalize Mike McCarthy for not really kind of winning over the classroom, setting the players in that kind of monologue setting that he was in. So that's what I saw, folks. That's what I saw. I don't know if I'm buying Mike McCarthy here, which was, once again, what we were trying to figure out. So that was from Hard Knocks, folks. All right. Let's